Hey Charlie, this is your dad. I'm currently working on, as you can see, a water pump. And this here is what they call an armature, and this is a brushed motor. So there's going to be brushes that make contact with these here. Little copper pins are called commentators. So you have an armature, you have a commutator, and this, which has a magnet inside. There's a north and a south. And there's a permanent, and this is called a stator because it stays in place. So you have, and then you have these here, and most all brushed motors are the same way. These are the brushes, and there's a little spring, and these brushes go inside that little spring, and when the motor goes back together, these will make contact with this, and I'll show you all that in just a little bit. But okay, we're back. What I think I need to do is I need to clean these brushes off. See how the ends of them kind of look a little bruised up? And you want to use really fine sandpaper. I'm just going to go take this seal off and put it in the same place. And I'll be back in a minute. Are we going to record now? So I cleaned off the brushes, taking this brush here, and following the contour of the brush itself, which is just made of carbon. Okay, basically it's pencil lead. You can literally write with it. So we got that. So then what we're going to do is we need to figure out where the other spring went. We take these springs. Springs go back in these little slots here. And then the brushes are going to go into these little slots here. And what I'm going to need is something to hold these brushes in place as I put the armature back in, which usually I can just hold them back with my hand. So give me a minute on that, because you might have to do a little wrangling and dangling. Okay, see the back end. Okay, just like that. And we take our pump. It's keyed. And we just try to slide it back in. I pull them back on these brushes. First attempt failed. Sometimes you can get a tool that will hold the brushes back. Okay. That part's back in. That's part one. The second part's going to be tricky to get this back into the stator housing. This will go on last. This is the bottom. But the idea is you're going to have to shove your hand through the pump back here like this and guide the shaft and all back in without the armature coming off the brushes. The way you do that is you use your hand to keep this whole assembly in one position. Okay, just like that. All right. We still have everything on here the way it's supposed to be. If I remember right, this was all turned this way. And it goes in like that. All right. rear housing.
You want to go to 25, to 28, and keep all the pirates off of it.
And keep pressure on the housing. I'm going to feed the bolts through. Nice thing is that the way this is sitting, it's now pushing. That's all. This part here, this isn't even exposed to any liquid, so you really don't need that seal.
What do you think, fellas?
Okay, so let's give her a break here. I'll be back with you in a minute. So we got the housing, so we're going to start putting the housing, put the back in, like so. Of course, this is pushing its own pressure on it. So we're going to find the hole back here. And we got that one started. You just got to start them. You don't have to run with them. Second one is always a little trickier than the first. Okay, we got that one started. And work this baby back in. And that bearing that's pressed, he's just going to work himself. One little dilemma. And it's my gaskets not seating where it's supposed to. A little coaxing with a flat tip. Grab the box. And should suck everything together automatically. If everything was machined to come in alignment. The motor's back together. Do a couple spins. Make sure she feels okay. Pump was made in 2006, so this is almost a 20-year-old pump that we're still keep going here. And that's cool. Okay, back in a minute. All right, my child, let's see what she does. This part here is the pressure switch. Just solder it in if you need to replace it. And these are the power wires. And they're black to black and red to red. And we'll have power. We're going to spin. Let me see if I can't bring this a little closer. And there she goes. Pressure switch. Now, when the pressure builds up, then we have the pump. Now this is really important because the pump housing has to go back together in a specific way. See, it's watertight on this side because of these seals and stuff. But it's very important that when you put this pump back in, one, there's a notch in the motor, and there's a notch in here. You see them? See it? Put the, and they'll slide together. Okay. And then you have this part. This is the part that the water pumps through. It really needs a new seal here. I don't have one, so it does leak a tiny bit, but these all go in here very specifically. And you notice this seal here has to match these guys here. There's cups, there's squares, and there's rounds. You have to make sure your square and your rounds on here are right. So you make sure you put that round to round and square to square. And everything seals pretty good, even with that gasket pad. Take my little pneumatic, put it in forward, and try to get everybody to go in the way they should. And we're not exactly where we should. This part didn't line up right with these. So we'll try it again. Now, we should be perfectly lined up. Very interesting. It's not exactly 100% straight, which is oddball as all hell. But let's see how she does. Should go back together just fine. There she goes. And we want to skip a couple. You don't want to go too tight. You want to jump over. To ensure that we have the right. We don't want to go too. Okay. And make it easier, we'll lift her up. You don't have to be super tight. I set my gun at 1. Okay. And that's pretty much in this part. See the seal and everything, the cup, this cup seal, the pressure cup. Make sure there's no debris in there, because that'll clog up the hole. And this goes in just like that. There's 4 screws. And it's done. Okay, this is it back reinstalled. Checking for drips and leaks. It's under pressure now. And it just sits there, held up by the plumbing. And that's how you clean the brushes on a brushed DC motor, and how to take apart a shur flow pump.